Hi guys, happy Saturday. This is Arcade with Sacred Para. I'm sorry there, I've been having a little bit of some technical difficulties and just trying to get that corrected. So I'm going to thank you guys right now for being with me. I hope that you guys are having an amazing day. It is extremely hot here. Extremely hot, so you're probably going to see me sweating a bit. Hi, Coach Play. How are you? That's Coach Play, my husband, with an I and not a Y, an I. You can definitely connect with him should you need any or just want any services for fitness, nutrition, personal training. That would be who you would contact. He has a lot of information, very, very gifted, a great encourager, and definitely someone that you want to connect with. My personal trainer, and I am not being biased at all, but literally has been working with me and helping to get me fit and tone and in shape and just having a more positive mindset. Hi, Toy Stories. How are you? Thank you so much for joining today. So today, and check out Toy Stories. Check out Toy Stories. Check out Doll Stories. Oh my God. You guys want to be on the edge of your seat, having some action-packed Marvel storyline and storytelling that you're not going to see on the movie screen. You need to check out Toy Stories, which is underscore toy underscore stories. And then it's also underscore doll underscore stories. Check out her storyline. She has me just like, literally, when I read your story, I'm like, what's going to happen next? I'm literally looking forward to you posting the next day. And if you're not able to post the next day, it's like, 2 days later, I'm like, I'm there. I'm there. So check out her stories. You are going to be satisfied. And it's just really, she does a really great, she does a really great job of delivering character details as well as being able to create a textured storyline that keeps you involved. So check out her story. And she's a really great person. She and her sister. Her sister also has her storyline on here. So check her out as well. That's the, put your sisters on there real quick, please, if you can, so that I can also give her a shout out. So I thank you guys for joining. Today we are going to talk about, you see my girls down here, but today we're going to talk about character mindset, how to get into the character mindset. Hello, Mom. How to get into your character mindset. That's my mom. One of the things that I had posted just recently, and I'm grabbing a little seat right here because it'll be a little bit easier for me. One of the things I had posted within recent time was Plastic Queen. Thank you. It is underscore plastic underscore queen. And she has two accounts as well. So you can check out her account. It's underscore plastic underscore queen. Check her out. She also has Doctor Strange and Scarlet Witch. And I'm telling you, you're going to enjoy her storyline as well. They're awesome and amazing at what they do. So definitely check them out. All right. Now we're going to talk today about, actually a request that someone had, and they sent it to me. They sent it through my DM. I wanted to know, how do I get into the mindset of my characters? And it was sent from @traveling underscore Tom underscore doll. And I appreciate you so much for giving me that DM. I have let it be known that, anytime you guys have any questions or you want to hear something more in depth that you're wanting me to either research and deliver to you, that's not a problem. I look forward to those DMs. So I was really excited when he sent it, and I did what I do, which is go and research and find out more. Question was, how do I get into the mindset of a character? I think that it is one of the most easiest thing to create a character that's your mini-me. Like, this is my mini-me. She has certain characteristics that's like mine. Gloria has certain characteristics and even storyline that's similar to mine. And you're going to see yourself possibly play into multiple characters in your story. You're going to take a little bit of yourself and put yourself into your characters. There's some people I've spoken to, you can go back to those lives. And there's people I've spoken to who are writers and creatives, and they're like, I don't put any of myself into my character. And that's totally cool. It's your option. You don't have to. It's however which way that you feel most comfortable. If you're more comfortable putting yourself into your character, do it. If you're not, and you're like, that's just not my thing, and I want to create characters that are opposite of me, do that as well. Now, here goes the thing that I believe a lot of us, including myself, can kind of fall prisoner to, is putting ourselves into our characters too much. And then you have a storyline that's very monotone. It's not textured. It's not colorful. There's just the same character repeated over and over, but with different doll faces. Try not to do that. And it's really, really hard. Now, if that's what you want, that's like your angle. You want to have each one of your characters be the same. And that's okay. That's your thing. So I'm not speaking against it. But if you're wanting a storyline that delivers characters that are textured and colorful and different, then you have to be able to remove yourself from your characters and really allow your characters to live on as individuals. Let me help you with that. Okay. So we're talking about mindset. How do I get into the mindset of your character? One of the key things that I believe is helpful for me when developing a character is to be present. Present and being mindful. These are huge elements of really any kind of conscious practice that you do, such as yoga. And as many of you know, I am actually taking my finals right now for my yoga certification. I kind of thought I would already have it, but it's taking a little bit longer of a process because I am a mom of 10. And I'm a wife and a mom of 10. And every once in a while I need those breathers, and I also have to be able to concentrate. So I'm not quite done with my final, but I'm just right there at the tip of it. Like I'm just grasping at the tip of it. And then I'll be a certified yogi. Nonetheless, being present is huge when it comes into the world of awareness, of being able to have a mindful awareness. Why is this important? Because if you're going to get into the mindset of a new character, of a character that is opposite of you, then you have to learn how to be present. And the tips that I'm going to give to you today, and there's going to be 6 tips. All 6 of these tips will require you to be mindful, to use all of your senses. So someone may be asking, what is mindfulness? I hear it a whole lot. I hear about mindful meditation. What is this? Mindfulness is just really being conscious of your conscious and even your unconscious. So I'm still developing this practice. I'll probably still be developing it when I'm 86 years old. My husband and I will still be developing this when we're 93 years old. I don't believe that there's ever going to come a time in my life where I just say, oh, okay, I'm done being mindful. Like I can just go ahead and keep moving on and learn something else new. Mindfulness is something that we have to do on a regular basis each and every day. And it requires us to use all of our senses. It's when you shut down your eyes, for example, you close it and you listen with your ears and you say, what do I hear right now? I hear the sound of the fan. What do I feel right now? I feel the fabric of the chair as it's, under my tush. What do I feel with, what's going on with the air in this room? Well, it's a little stuffy, a little humid. When I open my eyes, what do I see? I see you awesome and amazing people. I see a camera looking back at me with myself. So it's, and I see my dolls and I see that, the white screen behind me looks a little bit gray. So me being able to use all those things, even what do I taste right now? What do I taste in my mouth? I taste some, the residue of the lemonade that I had just earlier. What do I feel coming down off the side of my face? I feel some sweat. So I'm allowing myself to be aware of everything that's going on around me and allowing myself to be still enough to feel it. Because a lot of times we get so stressed, so overwhelmed, and we're so triggered by so much going on. And don't forget about your smell too. Like, what am I smelling? But we are triggered by so much that's going on around us that we don't realize or recognize what we're smelling. We don't realize or recognize what we're seeing. We don't realize or recognize what we're hearing, what we're tasting, what we're feeling. All those senses that they told us was really important in elementary school is still extremely essential to mindfulness. Being able to be aware. Now, why is your unconscious even important? Because the things that I let in through my conscious flows to my unconscious, and it creates habits, especially if I routinely do it. That could even be speaking negative to yourself, which is something that I am working on, okay? I had a lot of critical things, in my upbringing as far as being able to do things, in a good way and get it done, and being responsible to the point where now it's like naturally. And I believe we all are in that place, especially if you're a parent. It's very easy to speak negative to yourself. You look at the culture that we're in, the society that we're in. It's easy to bash yourself, and you're doing it unconsciously. Oh, I don't deserve that. I don't deserve anything good. I don't really see how that's going to work out. Something bad's going to happen. It's going too good. And you're speaking to yourself unconsciously negative, and you don't even realize it. So you have to become more aware. I have to become more aware. What am I thinking right now? Let me break that. Let me not think that. Why don't I deserve anything good? I deserve anything good just like someone else does. Why does something bad have to happen just because all these good things are happening? What happens if something better than good happens? What happens if something great happens? And then fixate my thoughts on that. So what you think in your unconscious does become habits, and you have to become aware of what's going on in my unconscious that I'm filtering into my unconscious. Why is that important with characters? Because our characters are built out of habits as well. So it's very important for us to become aware of that. So I'm going to give you these 6 points. Keep in mind that it's important to be mindful for the sake of the characters that you're developing. First point. Remember your emotions. Emotions can be very intense. I was keeping this in case I end up changing the head of a doll, which I may still do. I don't know. But emotions are important. Your emotions will really help you dictate how your character feels. For example, if you have a character and they're experiencing the death and the passing of a loved one, and you're thinking to yourself, how do I get into this mindset? I know they should be crying. I think that would be a reasonable, part of their process. But how do I really express that? Well, it would be wise, and I would advise you to think back to a time where you may have lost someone close to you that you love. How did you feel? What did you experience emotionally? How long did that pain and that suffering go on? Even if you have to use maybe the loss of a pet and what that felt like, because that could really help you with your storyline for your character. Did your character lose someone that was close to them that was human? Did they lose someone that was close to them that was a pet? What was that loss like for them? I even remember, for example, when the actor Chadwick Boseman died. Some of us who were huge fans never did get a chance to physically meet him, but there were people who were really, truly heartbroken because they had developed a relationship with him through the TV and through movies and through articles that was written about him, that were written about him. And so they felt a connection, a spiritual connection. So when he passed, it hurt. And it really did hurt some people to the point where it was a personal grief. You have to be able to channel into those emotions. So even if it wasn't someone that it was extremely heartbreaking. Thank you so much. That was heartbreaking, even for fans, especially. And he was a really great, you saw him as an actor, and then you heard all the great things that he was doing while alive, and even, more that came out after his passing of the good deeds that he did for people. And it was like, wow, we really did lose a shining star right there. So you felt the impact of that, even though you may or may not have met him. That's something that you would include with the emotions that your character feels. Maybe they don't feel like getting out of bed that day. Maybe it's been 4 days that passed, and it feels like to them it's just been an hour. Or someone maybe has to knock on the door and say, are you okay? I haven't seen you. I haven't heard from you. You're not eating. You're not drinking. You're not, returning any calls back. That is something that you want to include with your character. However which way that you felt whenever you had to deal with the suffering of losing someone close to you. Apply that to your character. Every little nook and granny of the details of what your suffering was like. Put that with your character. Now, on the other hand, maybe you have a character that happens to not have any feelings about it at all. I remember I saw an episode of Seinfeld, and Jerry Seinfeld was dating this girl, and she would get emotional about anything. And Jerry was like, I don't think that I can still date her because she just gets really emotional, cries about the smallest things. And they were doing hi 16th Avenue, how are you? And they happen to be doing a play. Check out her page too. You want to talk about details in your miniatures? I know I was about to go on about Jerry Seinfeld, but check out her page. Storyline and blogs, fantastic and amazing details with her dioramas. And she actually builds her sets and builds all the props and stuff. Amazing. Check out her page. So Jerry Seinfeld is dating this girl. She gets emotional about everything. They're doing a play together, and he wants to break up with her, but he happens to find out that her grandmother dies. And he's like, I don't know how to deliver this information to her because she gets so emotional. He goes ahead and he tells her, hey, I don't know how you're going to take this, but I have some bad news. Your grandmother passed. She, about almost the full 20 minutes of this episode, was crying on and off throughout. When she gets this information, she doesn't cry. She literally is like, well, life happens. And it was just like, what do you mean? You were emotional throughout the whole show about everything. And then I think something happened like right after that, like a button popped, and she was like, oh no, a button. And he was like, what the heck? So that's something that you could even add in with your own story, not copying what was on Jerry Seinfeld, but maybe your character has a reaction that's opposing to the suffering and grief that would normally happen with someone. Maybe they have someone that was close to them that dies and they just don't feel anything at all. Maybe they either are burying the emotion. That's one option. Or maybe they are just someone who doesn't feel, tragedy and trauma on the same emotional wavelength that other people do. That's something that you can add in there. So really dig into how you feel about the loss of someone close to you or a pet. And it doesn't always have to be lost. It could be, first time being in love and what that is like, and applying those same feelings of butterflies and love and applying that to your character. Or maybe you've been, married for 26 years and you're like, I want to put that with my character and what it feels like, and how maybe sometimes you may have like those times that's, kind of like mundane. You're not able to do a whole lot. You're not going out everywhere, but you just have made a home with each other in your heart. And you don't have to go out to the club or the movies anymore. Just being with each other is enough. So you apply that to your character. Apply those emotions to your character. That's the first tip. Second tip, get to know where your character lives. Where does your character live? Thank you for joining. Where does your character live? Does your character live in the same city and state that you're currently in? Or does your character live somewhere else? I've always thought it was pretty interesting to live in Florida, believe it or not. Although I say a lot to my husband and my family, I'm not going any further down south than where I'm at, which is true. I don't want to go down any further down south. But I went to Florida for Disney World years ago. I was like 7 years old. That's how long ago it was. And I enjoyed it so much to where I wouldn't mind visiting. I don't know about living, but I wouldn't mind visiting Florida. And it's nothing against Florida. It's just I don't want to go down any further south. I already feel like I'm down south enough. So just a personal preference. So I enjoyed Florida as far as visiting. If I wanted to create a character and place that character in Florida, I could easily go on MapQuest or whatever site that there is and find out where the restaurants are and what the name of the coffee shop is. And I can even maybe like Google in and type in an address and get a good idea of what a residential area is like. But it's nothing like visiting the actual location. It's nothing like visiting the actual location. And that's one of the recommendations here. And just to let you know, I am actually coming from writerology.net. That's WRITEROLOGY.net. So if you want to check that out, you can as well. And I will put their information down into the caption. But getting to know that area, you want to actually visit that place yourself. Find out what the local restaurants are, what the local coffee shops are, because you never know. If you just go on MapQuest, thank you for joining. If you go on MapQuest and you write down a restaurant, it may be a horrible restaurant. Maybe it has like a really bad reputation and the locals hate it. But you put in there in your story how great it is and the food is so delicious. And someone who's locally there is like, this place is horrible. They literally have a C on their window. But to us who do not live in that area, we're going to say how great it is because we MapQuest it. No, let's go there. Go to the restaurant. Find out what it tastes like. Do they have great food? Is it succulent? Is it delicious? Does the taste just like all the flavor just roll all over the, palate of your tongue and make you want more? Or is this the worst food ever? Only way you're going to know that is if you go yourself. So go find out about the coffee shops, find out about the floral shops, look around you, see what do people wear here? Are they kind of in their vintage wear? Are they wearing modern wear? Are they wearing stuff that we see on the runway in Paris? Or are they wearing stuff that, is more low key? What do they wear? And you're only going to know that if you go. Listen on the conversations that's there. Get a sense of their dialect. Because quite honestly, a Boston dialect is totally different than a dialect that's here where I live in Kentucky, or, a dialect that's in New York is totally different than a dialect in Detroit where I was born at. It's different. It's different. And you're only going to know that if you go. So go. And of course, like I just said, I'm not going down any further down south, but if you happen to go down further south, you're going to hear a southern twang that's going to be different than a New York accent. It's going to be totally different. So get a sense of what the folks like to talk about. What do people like to talk about in that area? What do they like to talk about? Thank you for joining. Do they like to talk about sports? Do they like to talk about music? Do they like to talk about church? Do they talk about, the current trends? Do they talk about celebrities? So you want to make sure that you know this information, because the locals are going to double check you. They're going to fact check you. They're going to find out if the things that you said about your character living in that particular city or town is true. And if you don't have your facts right, someone's going to say something to you in your comments or your DMs. So it's always good, if you can afford it, to go visit. And if you have the time, because sometimes you can afford it, but you're so busy you don't really have the time to travel. If you have the time to travel, go find out. One of the things I'm going to give you as an example is I had a huge infatuation with the movie Titanic. Anyone who's in my age group, and I'm about to come up on 40, I'm not ashamed of it at all. I'm thankful for 40 years. I am, and the many more. 40 years. But the movie Titanic with Leonardo DiCaprio. Almost every teen girl was in love with him, right? So rushed to the theaters to go see it. I had always been interested in the Titanic, outside of just that particular actor at the time. Now I am a total Coach Play fan all the way, okay? That's what my baby is. But during the time of being a teenager, that's, that was just the trend. That was the thing. I loved the Titanic, though, because it was a very interesting story to me from elementary. And it was interesting because it was a boat, or I should say a shipwreck that didn't have to take place. It never had to take place had people worked together better, not trying to get there by a certain time to beat a world record. And there were certain things that the engineers knew, that the captain knew, and they still just kept marching ahead, even knowing about the iceberg. And they endangered so many people's lives. So the Titanic was always interesting to me. Now, when we get to the more modern movie, because there were several movies that were created and filmed prior to the Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet, nonetheless, when they came out, it was like, oh, garbage to everyone else. All those other movies, it doesn't matter. It's just this one with Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet. But when they directed this movie, they had Jack, which was Leonardo DiCaprio's character. He had stated to Kate Winslet that he had went ice fishing in a certain location. And I'm just really coming off the top of my head. I didn't get a chance to see it recently, so forgive me. But he had went ice fishing. So we all, we're gullible. We're just taking it all in. You're just all in love with it. You kind of like, go forward in time from there. And critics started coming out, and locals started talking. They were like, it was pretty impossible for him to go ice fishing at that location because during that year that it was, that this film was set in, there wasn't any ice fishing there. And they were like, James Cameron, you messed up. And that was huge because what it stuck out in my mind at that time and what sticks out in my mind now is the importance of double checking your work, double check your character. Make sure that what you're putting, on your paper, putting on your script, putting and typing into your Instagram posts and the captions is actually correct for maybe the time period that you're talking about and or the location that you have your character stationed at, because people are going to go back in order to check if what you said was correct. So I am going to put that out there. Number 3, shop for your character. This is always fun. Shop for your character. Pretend to shop for them. You can go into stores, and now, of course, we do everything online. But if you can go into a physical store and actually feel the texture of the clothes, oh, this is silk, oh, this is cotton, oh, this is polyester. Go ahead, feel the fabric. Is this the kind of material that your character would wear? Because material says a whole lot about a character. A character who wears polyester is generally seen as someone who may be cheap. Someone who wears silk, on the other hand, is seen more sophisticated and refined and doesn't mind spending that extra money for the look that they want, right? So you want to be able to put that into your character. And the best way of knowing if this is something that your character would wear, quite honestly, even when it comes to accessories, shoes, things of that nature, the best way of knowing is if you try it on yourself. I call this the Goldilocks effect. That's what I call it, the Goldilocks effect. Because Goldilocks is just one of my most favorite books ever. I know I put a lot of emphasis, ever. I love that book. Nonetheless, one of the things that Goldilocks does is that she tries things. She's very curious and apparently very rude. And she breaks into the bear's house and she tries each one of their porridge. And she's like, this one's too hot. This one's too cold. This one's just right. She eats it all up. She goes to each one of the rocking chairs. She's like, oh, this one's too hard. This one's too soft. This one's just right. And she rocks, and breaks it. Then she tries the beds and she's like, this one's too hard. This one's too soft. This one's just right. And snuggles up and goes to sleep. She tries it. Was she right for doing it how she did? No. That was her character flaw. So one of the things that you want to do with your own character is you as the physical person, try it on. Try on the clothes. Try on the shoes. Try on the accessories. Try on the hats. And you have a character that's a gadget person and really does get into, TVs and electronics and jigs and, all different kind of things that has to do with tools and gadgets. Try it out yourself. Use those tools. Use those gadgets. Purchase it. Try it at the store. Get a feel of how heavy the hammer is if you have a character that happens to do handiwork. Get a feel of what that's like. What is that like when you lift it up and you pound it down? Do they do good at it? Do they do horrible at it? Are they first timers? Are they veterans? Did their parents and grandparents also have a company maybe where they were handy people, handyman and had their own business with it, a hardware store? Or, some type of company in construction? Try it out yourself. See what it feels like. You can feel it, you can try it on a lower scale. It doesn't mean that you have to become an actual construction worker unless you want to. But go ahead and try it out. Try it out. Get those electronics and those gadgets. Maybe you have a gamer. And I know a lot of different people that are gamers. I know a lot of different people who are not gamers throughout my lifetime. I have met them. And some people are adamantly against games, especially, no offense, but the girly girls are like, I would never do that. I hate that he's always on his game. But what would happen if you would go ahead and get your own PlayStation, get your own Wii, get your own Xbox, and try it out? Get on the game. There's so many different... I love me some games. Now, I'm not going to say I'm like a true gamer because I don't really get a chance to do it as much as I would like. okay? Because I really do enjoy the games. I do. You're a gamer? Yes. Like, I totally love it. I do. And I'm not talking about no Sims, although I do love Sims. And I have nothing against the Sims. I love me some Sims. Well, I'm talking about, like, I like me some Tekken. I like Mortal Kombat. I like, there's even this one game that my husband got for the kids. It's a demo right now, but it's Rush. And I think it's like with Disney. Dude, it is so cool. And they're using, you know, Woody and everyone from Toy Story. It is so awesome. I like that one. There's like Asphalt, which is a racing game, a racing car game. There's like Pulse, it's with the motorcycles. I enjoy gaming. I do. And then sometimes we may watch like other gamers. So they'll have like a small little screen of themselves and they're showing how they are doing the games. That's how we are in this household. And I love it whenever I see other females gaming too. But like I said, there's some females that are very, very girly, don't get into it, bash guys that do it. I think that's ridiculous. There's so many different varieties of games where you just have to find one that you enjoy. That's just where I'm at with it. Maybe you don't like Mortal Kombat. Fine. Find something else. Find something else. There's NBA games. Okay, maybe you don't like the NBA games. They got Pac-Man. There are so many varieties of games. They even have like tennis and bowling. Where now you're not even really at the controller. You can just like, you know, serve the ball for tennis. There's so many different games. It's like, why knock it? Just try it. Just see if this is something that you would enjoy. And I feel like that's the same thing right here, the Goldilocks effect. Try it. Try it out. If you have a character that's a gamer, instead of being like, well, I'm not a gamer, so I'm just going to have them sit there with the, you know, with the control and make it look like they're playing a game. You know, there he was playing the game again. Get into the mindset of what it's like to be the gamer. So if he's sitting there doing the game, and maybe his name is Ken, or maybe, well, he is a Ken. Maybe his name is Kenneth. There you go. Kenneth is the full name for Ken. And he's playing on the game. Instead of just you as the author saying, well, there he was on the game again, get into Kenneth's mindset by you also doing games. And I'm sure there's also guys that are not gamers. But if you're a guy and you're writing your storyline for your character and you're not a gamer, get yourself a game. Go over to someone else's house. Play on the game. Go to the arcade. Play a game. Get involved with it. See what it's like. What does it feel like? What kind of game kind of piqued your interest to where you want to apply that to your actual character? So I know I stayed on it for a little bit longer, but I do. I enjoy gaming. Actually, Fallout. Yes. Yes. Actually, we want to try out that Halo real soon. I'm telling you, dude, like this, it's an enjoyment. Yesterday, and this is just a quick little testimony, I was feeling really tense, you know. We got this new schedule, like I told you guys. My husband's doing his coaching and training at a local gym alongside with everything else, with him having his own coaching business. So schedule's totally different. And I just felt kind of like tense, you know, when new changes take place and the responsibilities are different and we're sharing it differently now. You just, you know, you're trying to adjust. So long story short, I was like, give me that controller. And got on there, did some banging out with the Tekken. And I felt so much better. My husband was like, how do you feel now? I was like, I feel so much better. And I literally did. Especially like one of those levels, the guy on there, oh my gosh, my kids know how to say his name so good. Hitachi, I think that's how you say his name. He is really a hard character to beat because he has these electrical impulses that he gives, or electrical pulses that he sends out. So basically like the first time that you're fighting him, it's like, oh, okay, I got this. I got him. Like he's really simple. Then he picks up on your moves. And I was playing against the computer on this one. Hello, how are you? Thank you for joining. I'm playing against the computer on this one. And literally, he's picking up on my moves when I'm doing it. So I end up going now 9 rounds with this guy. 9 rounds. And I was like in a fever pitch, dude. I was just like cussing and ranting. And I'm like, you know, dang gun it. And, you know, end up winning. My kids were like, woo! Like they were excited. And my husband, he was like, look, you won. You were complaining throughout it, but you won. I was like, man, dude, that's just how, you know, it's kind of like even in life. Like I may complain and still be winning and still complaining. But it felt good. And like after that, my stress level went, like it evened out. So I'm telling you, being able to do some gaming, if you're totally against it, just try it. Just try it. It's going to help you as an individual and help you build with your character. Now, make some phone calls is my fourth point. Make some phone calls. If you have a character that's an artist and you may not be into art at all, not that you don't like it, it's just that maybe you don't really feel that that's your thing. You may not feel that's a skill that you're able to do. That's cool. Make some phone calls. You can either talk to some artists that you know. If you don't know any, Google it. Google these people. There's a lot of people who are just willing to give you information. So build a rapport with them, build a relationship, a network, talk to them, and just be upfront. Let them know I'm writing a character. I'm creating a character who's an artist. I am not an artist. Is there any way that I can get some information from you about what it's like to be an artist? You can ask them technical questions about, the field that they're in. What kind of medium do they use? What kind of materials do they use? Do they do collaging? Do they use acrylic paint? Do they use oil paint, watercolors? What do they do? And then also ask them about lifestyle questions and what personal habits that they have. Ask them these questions so that you can get a better idea of the hobby and interest that your character has and really have the information for that. You can also do this when it comes to someone who's a different race from you. You can ask questions. Someone who's of a different gender than you can ask questions, and be very sensitive when you do this. Be polite, be sensitive. Don't say things like what's it like for you people, because when you say that can really, if you have someone who's of a different race or orientation from you, that can really set off and trigger some negative energy. So really research on how to use proper language so that you can be able to ask people in a respectful way that's still kind and allow someone to feel your humanness when you ask it. They're able to relate to you and they don't feel like you're just trying to gather information from them and treat them like a specimen. So make sure that you allow them to be the expert in the knowledge of what you're trying to receive from them. Okay? So that would be one of the things that I would say if you're talking to someone who is not you and not part of the circle of influence that you generally are around. Make sure that you research, that you ask questions. That's paramount. It's key. It's so very important that you go ahead and ask people, because a lot of people are very willing to talk to you. They love to teach you about them. And if you do happen to get someone that's like, no, I'm not going to tell you anything, that's okay. They have a right to their privacy. They have a right to say no, move on to the next person. And whoever you do speak to, try your best, if you can afford it and if you're able to send them a card, tell them thank you, give them a gift card maybe, and let them know that you really do appreciate them for their time. Okay? Number 5, get to cooking. Why is that important? Food is so important. Do you know that? Food is essential. Food to a certain degree is life. Even people who are like, oh, well, I'm vegan, or I listened to a podcast yesterday with my husband, and a guy talked about eating only fruits and vegetables and how it changed his life. It was transforming for him, and the difference that it made to his cellular profile, and what it did to him mentally, and what it did to him and did for him spiritually. And it was a pretty interesting and deep and enlightening podcast. But the thing is that he still had to eat. So regardless if you're eating fruits and berries or vegetables or meat, hi, how are you? Whatever the case may be, thank you for joining. You still have to eat. This is also important when it comes to the character that you are building. What kind of foods do they eat? Are they vegan? Are they someone that's a carnivore? I literally have a brother-in-law. I literally do. Now, he may be eating vegetables now, but when I met him when he was 17 and on up, this guy was a straight up carnivore. He was against fruit. He was against vegetables. He was against any kind of form of herb or anything like that. He was like, don't put it in my food. I don't want cilantro. I don't want oregano. I just want the meat. And he was serious. He wouldn't eat it. Like, I made him some, I think it was like chicken noodle soup before because he wasn't feeling good. And I knew that if I put like the carrots and the celery and garlic, if I put all that in there in chunks, he wasn't going to eat it. So I went ahead and blended it. I put it in the blender, got it, I paraded, made it like baby food, because I actually make baby food. We make our own baby food. We've been doing that for years with all the kids. So took that particular concept that I do with my babies, paraded, and put it into his chicken noodle soup, stirred it all up, cooked it, and we sent it over there to him, and he was like, oh, this was so good, I feel so much better. And he did get better soon. And then years later we told him, it was like, hey, you did have some vegetables in that chicken noodle soup. Because he was a straight up carnivore. So is that your character? Do you have a character who's just adamantly against fruit, adamantly against vegetables? If you do, put that down, write that into your character. Maybe they're dating someone who loves fruits and vegetables, who happens to be a vegan, and now they have to figure out, how do I still date this person and not let them know that I don't eat fruits and vegetables? Or maybe they're very honest about it, and they're like, I eat nothing but meat, I don't eat none of that other stuff. Is this going to be a deal breaker for them? So that's something that you want to incorporate. What do they eat? Also think about the effects of food. If you have coffee, really, really strong coffee or espresso at night, is your character going to be able to stay up? Or is your character going to be able to go to sleep, or do they stay up? Think about it with yourself. When you drink coffee late at night, or even espresso, especially an espresso at night, is it harder for you to go to sleep? If you have greasy food before an exam, is it harder for you to concentrate? And actually do it. Actually try it and see, is it harder for me? I have a character who loves chocolate. And maybe you like chocolate, but it's not a real big deal. But you have a character who like wakes up in the morning and they got M&Ms, and they, in between the day, or they got like a Snickers, a Milky Way, all this other stuff. They have some form of chocolate going on all throughout the day. They love them some chocolate. They got a chocolate stash inside of their drawer and their, desk at their office. But you are not that big on chocolate. Well, now's the time for you to try it. Eat chocolate and see, is there a difference in the taste with the different brands of chocolate? Is there a difference in the chocolate that I buy locally? Is there a difference with the chocolate that I buy that's branded? Is there a difference with the chocolate that I eat that comes from Switzerland? Because let me tell you, I had some chocolate before from Switzerland that a young lady that I was friends with in high school gave to me, because she and her family went to Switzerland for a vacation. And it was the best chocolate I ever had in my life. I mean, just literally thus far in my life, because, there's so much more life to be lived, and some more, so much more traveling to be done. And I didn't get a chance to travel. She brought it to me. So, this next trip is going to be a family trip with the hubs and the kids. And then I get to taste it myself right on location. Yes, but it was delicious. So there's definitely a difference in the taste of chocolate depending on where you get it from. Is it chocolate that's mixed with fruit? Does it already have like strawberry or berry or infused with it? So you want to be able to detail that. How does it feel? How does it taste? How do you feel after you have it? Are you energized? Are you happy? Does it kind of make you more sad and heavy? Do you get like really, really energized and then 2 hours later you crash? That's something that you can incorporate into your character as well. Okay? So definitely include that in there. Even if you have a character who eats eggs for breakfast every day. Now it's your turn. You eat eggs every day for breakfast and see what that's like. Okay? Thank you guys for joining. I will definitely look at everything that you are saying right after I get done, because actually I'm on my last point. Learn something new. Learn something new. That is my last tip. Learn something new. If you have a character that may be an ice skater and you have never ever did any kind of ice skating, that's okay. Now's your time to glide on that ice. Go to the skating rink. Go ahead and invite your friends. Take your family with you, or just go solo. See what that's like to have the ice under the blades of your skates. Do you do really well at it? Or maybe you've done it a whole lot. Maybe you haven't done it in a while. And this would be a time for you to be able to go back, reunite yourself with the ice and see what it's like. Maybe it could be rollerblading. Maybe you have someone that's a fitness instructor. You want to go ahead and try that out yourself. See what it's like. Give it a shot. Maybe you have a character who loves piano. That would be a wonderful time for you to either get a piano instructor or teach yourself how to play the piano. One of the easiest ones to play, from what I have heard and even done myself, is chopsticks. Did I make it through the whole chopstick song? No. But it's something that you can go ahead and try out yourself, because you never do know. You may end up developing your own new hobby. You can end up having a Barbie, or a character, I should say, because it could be a kid, it could be any kind of doll of your choice. But you can have a character that you've built for your doll that enjoys yoga. And then you may adore it so much, you never do know, you become a yogi yourself. So apply whatever hobby that you have for your character into your own personal life, and be able to really authentically express the details of what that is like for your character. And we see this kind of enactment in certain actors' life. When you listen to interviews from different actors, they talk about method acting, and method acting has to do with allowing yourself to become the character. Like, there's certain people who have to play a character that's homeless. I wouldn't advise you to do this unless it's something that you can do on a safe level. But there have been actors who have lived with other homeless people. Literally, they've lived under, viaducts, they lived under bridges, they've gone to homeless shelters, they've went to soup kitchens to go eat, and they were able to do it without anyone recognizing them, because actors have to wear so much makeup that a lot of times whenever you see them without makeup, they don't even look the same. And then sometimes they may put on prosthetics, facial prosthetics, so that people don't recognize them. And they live their life homeless so they can get a really good idea of what is this like. And then what comes out of that is authenticity. So instead of them just saying, I think this is what a homeless person would feel, I think that a homeless person would act like this, or would think like this. They know what it's like. They know what it's like to have to go to a sink and take a bird bath at the sink of a public bathroom. They know what that's like. They know what it's like to have to smell your underarms for 2 weeks without any kind of shower, and 3 weeks, and 4 weeks, and 6 weeks without any kind of decent bath. They know what that's like, and then they can apply that into their character. Now, one of the downfalls of that is getting out of that character. How do you kind of break yourself, from that character, and separate and differentiate between yourself and the character? So you do have that would be one of the things that I would say that you have to watch out for, maybe almost like as a con to method acting. It's how far do you delve into the character, and are you able to safely separate yourself and have your own personal identity? So if you're doing things within a safe measure, you're going from one brand of clothes to I don't know, I'm trying to think of a Jessica Simpson clothing brand instead of wearing Walmart brand. And I'm just throwing out some names. So, you go from like a Walmart brand to a Jessica Simpson brand, just to kind of get a feel of what's Jessica Simpson branding, brand of clothes are like. I believe that that's kind of like a safe scale compared to living your life homeless, to get a feel of that. And I say a kind of safe only because, can you financially afford the Jessica Simpson, or is that going to really break your financial bracket? If it's going to kind of break your budget, that may not be what you want to do. So you want to be able to experience these things as the character, and still really weigh your options so that you don't infuse too much of your identity with that character, where it's harder for you to separate, one. And then two, you don't want to do something that would be harmful to yourself, to others, or to your budget, because that's still really important as well. If you can't afford sushi, but you have a character who eats sushi every night, I would suggest for you definitely to try sushi. Hi so much. Thank you for joining Barbie Pains. Hola, hermana. Definitely check out Barbie Pains' page if you have not. She has some phenomenal lives and amazing characters and clothing that she talks about. So check her out. She always has new hauls that she talks about as well, and amazing vintage dolls. Check her page out. Hola. So definitely make sure that you're being considerate of what is going to work for you. If you want sushi, try it out. Could you afford it every night? If it's not something that's in your budget, then don't. You try it, you're like, this is what my character would like. Maybe get a sample plate, and then you're able to taste what the eel is like compared to the tuna, compared to the salmon sushi, the California roll. You taste it, you say, okay, this is the kind of stuff that they would like, and then you leave it right there until you're able maybe to afford it on a regular basis. Okay, so be smart about it. Sometimes the most effective way to get inside the character's head is to experience life through the eyes of your character. Because when you do that, you will literally create a realistic and authentic character, a real to life character. So I hope that these 6 points was helpful to you. Oh, I love you too. Thank you so much. I hope that these were very helpful points for you. And like I said from the very beginning, be aware. Be aware. Have that sense of conscious awareness, that mindfulness. Carry that with you through all these tips. So when you're looking at number one, not even number one, number two, when you're looking at going to visit the actual physical location, that is a time of being able to use your senses, all of your senses. What does it smell like here? Maybe you're at a location where you can really smell, like I think in Maine, you can really smell just the air in the sea. You get, if you get closer to the docks, you can really smell the fish and just that whole, just the sea air, if you will. So you would want to write that. Is it foggy? Does it stay kind of foggy there? Is that what your character sees a lot of? Then you would want to put that in your character storyline. So be aware, mindfully of what's going on. Use all your senses and apply those senses to your character. And the reason why I have not said 5 senses, because we really have more than 5 senses. We've been trained that it's just 5, but definitely use the 5 that you have. Use your spiritual sense as well. Take that with you as well, so that you're able to really feel on a spiritual level what's all going on. You can go to certain locations and it feels really heavy and depressing. And people could be smiling, but you just get this sense spiritually that there's like a sadness here. Just like, I'll give you an example. You go to a funeral. There's a lot of people who smile, but just because they're smiling doesn't mean that you don't feel that heaviness, that depression. And how does it make you feel emotionally? That's another sense. How do you feel emotionally? Do you feel happy when you go to a funeral? We talk about celebrating the life of somebody, but oftentimes you can kind of feel sad. Even if you weren't close to the person, you can still feel sad. And then you can even look at it with a wedding. You can have someone that's getting married, and it should be a happy atmosphere, but yet when you walk in, you could just kind of feel the heaviness, especially maybe 2 people that people didn't want to see get married. There's a lot of controversy surrounding it. I've seen different TV shows and programs where people literally are having fights at the wedding. Having a fight at the wedding. So something that should have been a happy occasion had a lot of just anger and chaos and aggression all in that atmosphere. And you could probably sense that as soon as you walked in. You could feel it spiritually. You could feel it emotionally. So you want to be conscious of that. The birth of a new baby or someone bringing in their baby and the joy that's there. You can feel that. So you want to be conscious of that. What do I sense with my eyes and with my nose? What do I smell? What am I tasting right now? Is it salty? What am I hearing? Even if you're not feeling well, or your allergies are bothering you, am I kind of tasting mucus and kind of like feeling some stuffiness, some mucus in my nose? You want to be aware of that. When we talk about yoga, one of the things that we talk about is breathing, because it's very, very important that you breathe, because mindfulness is related to breathing. You have to have calmness, right? And so there's this one breathing exercise that we do, and I cannot think of the exact name, but it's an alternate nose or nostril breathing technique. So you'll breathe in through like your right nose and hold it. And put your thumb over your right nostril. And then you will exhale through the left nostril. And then inhale through the left nostril. And then release. And exhale through that right nostril. And then inhale. Now you hold it. And you're going to switch and exhale. So you'll do that a few times, right? Now, why do I tell you about that? One, it's really good for relieving or decreasing the tension that you may feel. It's good for decreasing any kind of levels of anxiety that you're experiencing. It's also very good for, bringing in oxygen to the body. But also, it lets you know, like, if your nose is clogged. Like, I kind of noticed that my left nostril while I was doing that was a little bit clogged. So that's something that I can even apply with my character, right? Maybe they were doing the alternate nostril breathing and kind of, had some clogginess. Or maybe I'm able to get an idea of what it feels like to have your nostril clogged. And how limiting the air is in that particular passageway in comparison to my right side. Because I'm able to breathe more fully and more deeply through my right. And so that's something that I can apply to my particular character. If my character is experiencing allergies and her nose is stuffy, then I can kind of get an idea of what that feels like when I close this nostril. I can hear it. I can feel that I'm laboring a little bit more with that particular nostril. And it feels kind of stuffy. So I would want to write that with my character. How stuffy that she feels. And maybe I can apply that with both of her nostrils and not just one. So you want to be aware with all those tips. Allow yourself to be in awareness. And that's going to require you to have mindfulness, to be in a state of calmness so that you can rightfully apply those details to the character that you're building and be in the mindset of your character. When you're in the mindset of your character, you are going to be able to write an authentic character that's real to life. Okay, now, for any questions and comments, Barbie Paints, this is how you breathe life into your character so you can relate with them. Exactly. So very, very true. So very, very true. I also saw, let's see here, Egyptian _galaxy_empire. I've been a collector for years. I never knew this community was so big. I haven't set up nothing. I have a few posts up. I hope this is way I'm not getting followers. I hope this is the way I'm not getting followers. Okay, so if that's a question about getting followers, I have somewhat of an experience with followers. And the only reason why I say that's because the network that I do have is very family oriented. So I've just been very blessed with that. So I don't want to say like, oh, I know exactly how to do that. There are some people who have like 29.6K followers, and their experience of how to gain followers is going to be totally different than the knowledge and skill set that I have right now currently, because I do like having more of intimate relationships and conversations and being able to relate to the people that I'm with as IG family. Now, if in fact you're looking for following and you're looking to be able to connect with people from a business standpoint, you may have to connect with other IGers that's what they do, because they would probably give you the best information. One of the things that has helped me to be able to connect with the people that I do right now has been being able to put my posts, put my stories out here, and using hashtags such as Barbie community, doll community, Barbies, hashtag play. And we were able to interact from that point on and DM each other and just connect. Even if we're not DMing each other, just being able to comment with each other has been an awesome experience. So I would definitely say use hashtags. Now, I have heard other people that are more of your IG influencers, and this is what they do for a living, is talk about how to grow your followers. And some of them say don't use the hashtags don't work. Some people say use all, I think it's like 25 or 35 hashtags that you can. Some say just use 3. I really couldn't tell you if that's how you can grow your following. I just know what has worked for me because of where my desire is at, if that makes any sense. I desire to be able to connect to my IG family. If it grows up into, some another K, then that's great. I still want to be able to have a good interpersonal relationship with those that I have connected to. So if you're looking for the following, I would definitely suggest for you to connect or look at other accounts that's what they do all day long. They talk about tips on how to grow your following. One of the things, like I said, has worked with me being able to meet people has been with the hashtags and just putting my story out there. So if you have a storyline, put it out there. If you're not doing a storyline, but you're more into customizing your dolls, rerouting them, or doing fashion, do that as well. It's going to go far. So just go ahead, put your post out there and just keep doing it on a regular basis as much as you can, and let it go from there. So I hope that helps. Let's see here. Hello, are you? So if you guys have any questions or comments, definitely put it in right now. If you don't, I'll probably be going ahead and logging off. Yes, engagement is key. Barbie underscore paints. I'm saying it again so that you guys can connect. Engagement is key. Engagement is definitely key. Being able to connect with each other. If someone writes you, even if they put a heart underneath the story post that you put out there, being able to say thank you makes a huge difference. Or you may have a storyline or a picture that connects with people and they're like, oh, I have an outfit like that, or I always want to know what it was like to wear something that's vintage, or I had that doll when I was a kid. When they make those comments and then you write back, oh yes, this was a great doll, and I got this doll from eBay, or I've had this doll since I was a kid, or I reroute for a living, that's what I enjoy doing, and it's also part of my business. Whenever you're able to have those conversations with people through your direct messaging or even the comments, you're able to write back, that alone will help you build your following, if that's what you're looking for. Or if you're just looking to connect with people, being able to connect with people through engagement is huge. And yes, consistency is big too. I would love to post, if not every day, every other day. But I'm a mama of 10. I'm a wife and a mama of 10. And I'm still in school. And this is actually just, lifestyle school right now. I've already done the whole undergrad thing, and now this is I know I say it like it's just like, oh, it's just like not a real big deal. But quite honestly, that's what I was telling my husband. I'm like, doing schoolwork now with 10 kids, and it's just us. It's I don't know, like I don't know if I have any words for it. It's so different. Like I look at the younger me and how she was just like, literally the younger me, she would go out to the club, had tequila, had some vodka and cranberry, stay up to 4, 6 o'clock in the morning, take a little snooze, get ready, go to school, go to this class, go to that class, ace her test here, turn in her paper there. Like literally, sometimes right before class, she'd be like finishing up the paper and and I'm talking about myself, and would print out the paper and go to class, and I'm like, here you go, another A. Literally in my mind, and I would actually get a real good score. Now I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to get this done. I've been working on this final for a long time, and thank goodness, this particular certification allows you some time, but I only have till July. So I'm like, I'm almost there. I can get this done this week. Every week I'm like, I'm going to get this done this week. So I would love to have more consistency on a daily basis with my Instagram, but I also realize my life, and I'm like, I have to be more gentle with myself, which is something that I'm working on. You know, let's be honest. Let's be authentic about it. I am not always gentle with myself. I try my best to be a good friend of myself. My husband tries, I can't even say try. He reminds me, he's like, now remember you said that you're going to be a better best friend of yourself. But it's really challenging. It is so very challenging to be a good best friend to yourself. You could be a good best friend to other people, but with yourself, I believe that the expectancies are different, and you see yourself and you're like, you should be able to get that done. Why couldn't you get that done now? Look, it's 11 p.m. and you still got to pump. Are you serious? Like, that's what I'm saying to myself. Like, I still got to pump. I got to make this milk for the baby. And then I'm wanting to get on here and I'm falling asleep pressing a button on the daggone phone, hoping I didn't delete an app because I fell asleep. Like that literally, that's a real life story. Because it's just having, so much on your plate to get done. But I know eventually my own consistency will be different on here. But I'm just thankful. Right now, I'm just thankful to be able to get on here. So for those who are able to do it every day, bravo. Like, for real, because life gets in the way. I don't care if you got a husband and 10 kids, or if you are, single and you have no kids, whatever your life situation is, life can get very complex and complicated. And you have to be able to adjust with it, kind of go wherever your sailboat is going. You just kind of have to let the winds also guide you. So I'm learning in this process how to not feel guilty, but to, get on here and post whenever I can. Today, my husband and I, we both had a meeting. He has a new client that he's working with, and I sat in with him, and it was amazing. I'm so proud of him. Congratulations. Round of applause. I am so excited for his new adventure and what he's doing. And he is with the children, so that's why you don't hear the kids in the background, and I'm not talking like Busy. Was her name Busy? Off of Blossom. She was like talking so quick all the time. I know, like, my last live with you guys, I was like, I went back and heard it. I was like, oh my God, did you guys get any points? Because I was talking so fast, but the kids were like all in the background, and I was just trying to get it done. But they did a good job. I wasn't even mad at them. For 10 kids, they did good. They did really good. Power mama. Oh, blessings. Hey, I give all glory to God on it. I really, really do. Without Jesus, I would not be able to do this. Period. I've said it before. I'm like, Jesus, my husband, the bourbon, coffee, those things help. Water, I'm gonna put water in there. Yes, stay hydrated. But yeah, I do. I enjoy my bourbon. I don't think anything's wrong with that. we play, but we're still adults. Okay, this is adult play therapy. Adults can still have their wine. They can still have their bourbon, their vodka, their tequila. Come on now. Let's not take that away. I can't imagine going to school now and I just have one baby. You're a super mom. Oh, blessings. I'm telling you, it is different. It is different. It's different. It is so different. Like I said, I'm speechless I don't have an exact word. I know once I get done with the yoga certification and the hypnotherapy, once I get done with that and whatever else that I do, I'm going to have some actual words for it. Right now, I'm just like, let's just get through it. Thanks, babe. Love you always. Love you too, baby. So yeah. I'm telling you, it's something that I will hopefully, and I can't, why even say hopefully? I know, and cheers to you too. As to Barbie Paints, I know I'm going to be able to write with my characters. I think is going to be something that I could probably use with a variety of characters. It's not just going to be with one character. Being able to use the experiences of juggling, a household and your own personal development while doing school. So I'm looking at this experience right now, and I know that eventually when I'm looking at it from the rearview mirror of life, I'm going to be able to apply that with my character or characters. So just kind of doing a 360 back into our conversation about how to get into the mindset of your character. There may be things that you're undergoing in life right now that you don't have words for. Like I said, I'm literally speechless. When I look at what I used to do back then when I was in my 18, 19, early 20s and going to school and didn't, I had responsibilities. I had to pay bills, even, while living with my mom. I still had to work. Worked at a restaurant, walked home at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning just because I didn't want to spend money for a taxi. And I was just very blessed that nothing crazy happened. But looking back at that experience, which I could actually apply that with the character. I'm like, no experience shall be wasted. But nonetheless, which I do need to put that with the character. But nonetheless, schooling just felt really easy. Like I said, I hung out. I hung out, I partied, but I still balanced my school time, and school was still really important to me. Going to church was still important to me. I was able to still get it done. And, I was living my life. That's the best way I could put it. I was young, living my life still. So I was still able to get things done, but now it's different. It really is different. And, the level of responsibility is different. The pressures are different. The stressors are different. Overcoming, any kind of personal trauma is different. So I can't put a label on it. I think it's just going to be something I have to look at, like I said, in the rearview mirror of life to be able to really label and be able to, contextualize. And from there, I'll be able to build a character or characters from the experiences that I'm having issues labeling right now. I'm like, let's just get through it. Let's just get through it. I want to be a cheerleader for my husband and just continue to, just see how much he's growing and, and simultaneously develop into the space and evolve into the woman I'm supposed to be. So it's different. It's definitely different. But I am thankful, like I said, to my husband, I'm thankful that the kids are being able to see us evolve and see us push, because that's still a lesson within itself of even whenever you have circumstances that you have to overcome and obstacles that you have to overcome. It's nothing like being able to see it be done so that you can grab hold to those lessons and really personalize it for yourself. And so that takes us all the way back to the main point of being able to experience it for yourself. So even if you happen to not be an artist, like I said, with one of those points, I think it was like point number 4, you're not an artist, you're not a sports player, you're not a gamer, talk to other people, make it personal for you. Go to the actual game, watch them shoot ball, watch them on the court. Because that's what's going to help you to be able to personalize that experience. Maybe you're not able to go out there and play the basketball, but in the same hand, why not? And you're talking to somebody that's a baller. And I don't mean like money wise, but that's what they do for a living. They play ball, and you happen to reach out to them. They're like, yeah, you can come to the game and watch. Go to the game and watch, but then go even like a step for that and say, is there any way that I could learn how to play ball? I think there was like a show recently, I don't know if it's still out. I just saw the previews of it, not literally just, but I had only seen the previews of it. Like Cardi B learns new hobbies, and she would go to different places and learn new skills, like how people do ballet and how they do this, and she would do it from like a hands-on perspective. In short, that's what you want to do with your character. If you're able to have that hands-on experience, then do that. Allow it to become personal to you so that you can take it and really own it and be authentic with it. And that still wraps in with what I was saying about our kids being able to see us do it, and they take that ability to be able to overcome obstacles and be able to push past their own limits, so that, it can be something helpful to them now as well as in their future. Exactly. Make it your own. Pull from your own life. Thank you, Barbie Paints. Pull from your own life. So make your character's interests, make their story your story. So even if but like I said, still be careful with this. So if you have a character who may be in an abusive relationship, I would not advise you to go into an abusive relationship to see what it's like. You know, really weigh out your options and think in terms of safety. There's plenty of documentaries that you can watch. There's plenty of, Lifetime movies that are based off of true stories that you can watch. There's women and children's centers. You still have to be kind of cautious with those, only because a lot of times women are in what do you call it, witness programs, so they may not be able to talk to you directly. But you want to be able to find out, talk to different centers and locations and find out, am I able to talk to someone who's experienced some type of domestic violence? They have a new name for it, because I was listening to the Johnny Depp court case, like intimate partner abuse. Intimate partner abuse. IPA. I think that's what they call it. Because they kept saying IPA during the court hearing. I was like, what? That's just domestic violence. But it's intimate partner abuse, I do believe, IPA. So you would want to talk to these centers and facilities and see, can I talk to someone? Or do you guys have like a conference coming up virtually or in person where I can hear from real life people who have experienced abuse and overcame it, because I am writing on my character and I want to be able to have authentic information. So there's ways of finding out information where you yourself don't have to endanger your actual being, your actual body, your actual person, your actual mind by undergoing abuse. You can be able to look at those documentaries. You can be able to hear interviews in person or virtually and get a good scope of information and being able to hear and feel what people have gone through and experienced, so you can apply that to the character. You may even have some family members who have went through abuse and they're open about what they went through. They may want to share their story, their testimony with you. And you can gather information from there as well, or even if it's friends who have gone through things, and you can get information from them as well. So look around you. Pay attention, listen to people. There may be someone who's telling you that they're going through stuff and you may not be listening as well. Maybe it could even be a guy who's like, every time I turn around, my girlfriend, she's right there staring at me through the window, or she's following me, or, she threatens me. She doesn't want me talking to any other girls. She's always going through my phone. And at first you kind of don't really think it's a big deal. Maybe it could be even a male cousin, because one of the things I think is really interesting about this Johnny Depp case is that it is bringing to light that men get abused. And we've known that, but we don't really put a lot of attention to it, because it's like, how can a woman abuse a guy? But women do abuse guys. So maybe you have a cousin that he's been talking about this for quite some time, and you just kind of think of it as him just being extra and being dramatic and just making a bigger thing out of it. But now that you're thinking of building a character, you're like, let me really listen to what he's saying and see, what is he feeling like? What is he experiencing? Because you never do know. And make sure you ask too. Even though you're probably going to use a whole different name, which I would totally advise you to use a different name. So if his name is Ken in real life, ask him, hey, can I make a character but name him James? And make sure that it's okay with him, before you just build a character that's based off of his story. But out of listening to a story, to build a character, to build on a character, you may also be able to offer him the help that he needs. Maybe he really does need someone who listens to him, and you're that person. And you can be like, you know what? I think this is abuse. It sounds like she's being abusive. She's throwing stuff at you. A lot of things have come out during this court case with Johnny Depp. Maybe you need to listen to it and see what kind of resources are available to you for help. Whereas at first you were just like, oh, whatever. But now, you hear it differently, and it can really be something that can be life-saving for him. So make sure that you look around you, listen to what people are saying, because you never do know. You may be used by God to be able to help somebody. Yes, it happens more than people realize. Exactly, Barbie Paints. It really, really does. Abuse is abuse. And that's one of the things that I am thankful that this case is highlighting, because I believe Johnny Depp is seen as like a man's man for so many people. I think almost anyone has had a crush at some point in time on Johnny Depp, regardless of what character that he played. They were like, oh, Johnny Depp, right? 21 Jump Street, I don't care. Freddy Krueger. It doesn't matter how long ago it was. He's been admired by both sexes. So to see someone who is now going through this, it's like, wow, how did that happen? How did he allow himself to be abused? And it does. It happens. It happens. So I'm really interested in seeing the outcome of this case and how it does affect men who are undergoing this, and seeing, is this going to kind of like help free them to be more open to say, we get abused too. So maybe you have a character that you're developing that's a man, and you can look at this court case as an example of how to really manifest that with the character that you're creating. So look around you, be conscious of it, be mindful. And I hope that this particular live helped you. I want to thank @traveling_Tom_doll again for sending me that direct message, asking me, how do you get into the mindset of your characters? And when you do this, when you create a difference with each one of your characters, what you're going to find is that your storyline is going to be much more texturalized. You're going to have a lot more flavor, a lot more color, and people are going to really be able to distinguish each one of your characters from the other one. They're going to say, oh, okay, this is like the really sweet and sultry character. Oh, that's that mean little, right, witch right there. They're going to know the difference because you have allowed yourself to authentically craft and design each one of your characters as individuals and giving them each their own identification. So now people are able to identify with each one of them instead of just seeing them as a whole and saying, oh, okay, those are all sacred paradox. Like, no, that's Hinishida. And no, that's Gloria. You know Gloria, right? Gloria's going to be back, and that's Raven. And they're going to know each one because you have created and crafted characters that are distinguished, that are very different. Oh, that's Mama Catherine. We can tell whenever Mama Catherine's in the storyline. So you want to be able to do that. Now, I'm not going to say, oh my God, I'm like the best, I'm an expert. No, I am daily trying my best to design and craft characters that are different, that have their own identification, that are able to express who they are. So that's something that I believe all of us who are writing for characters are doing. Oh, thank you. Barbie Pink said, thank you for your insight, and God bless you too. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys. Mama, I must go, but you offer excellent advice. I appreciate you. I appreciate you too. So I am, on that note, going to be going as well. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything. 100. Oh, thank you, Toy Story. Exactly. Make it your own, pull from your own life. So I want to thank you guys again. This has been amazing. All the names that I said on here, check them out if you haven't already. Check out those pages. Amazing pages. I'm so very thankful to be able to follow the groups that I do, and being able, like I said earlier, building the intimate Instagram family that I have. And you guys have been such a pleasure to be able to be connected to. So thank you guys again. Any questions that you have or a topic that you would like for me to research and bring more information to you on, send me those DMs. All right. Until next time. Thank you guys. Have a good day. Happy Saturday. Bye-bye.